Hello and assalamu alaikum. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I took my product pictures for my business to another level. Initially, when I started my business, I used to take my product pictures against any white wall in my home with no lighting and no backdrop. We would then edit out anything in the background, like any marks, shadows, the skirting boards and the flooring. But as you can see, the picture on the right is the final product we used to basically use for the website and Instagram. The backdrop is very flat. There's no dimension in it and it's over edited. It's, absolutely white. And the product itself has got a lot of shadow and it's not very clear. The other problem is that the subject itself is not in the middle of the picture. So all in all, we have this fake looking picture where you can see it's a real person and they've just been plonked in the middle of a random plain white sheet of paper basically. It's not the best look and definitely not the most professional one. So what I did is I purchased a very inexpensive set online. By no means is it a professional setup, nor am I a professional photographer, nor a model, nor an editor. But I'm just showing you what I did to make my pictures look a little bit more professional. So this is one example of what I managed to achieve using this setup, plus one more item, which I will explain in a minute. But basically, hardly any editing had to be done at this point, other than the fact that I had my face cut out because I do wear the niqab, and customers, often got confused and thought that, the niqab is part of the outfit or that the outfit cannot be worn without the niqab. So I had to obviously show them that, it can be worn without the niqab, but the niqab is also an option. Here is another example of what I managed to achieve using the setup. As you can see, the product is very clear and so are my hands because there is sufficient lighting. What I personally love about these pictures is that the background looks absolutely seamless, but it still looks realistic because there are shadows in the background that give it, the realistic kind of look and gives it a little bit of dimension. So let me unpack the setup and show you what's inside. Now, what I wanted to mention earlier in the video is yes, this setup does come with 3 backdrops, a white one, a black one and a green one. Some sets do come with 1 backdrop or 2. However, yes, they say that when you hang it for a certain amount of time, the creases come undone, and it becomes a seamless backdrop. However, this is not really the case, and I've seen many people mention the same thing. Unfortunately, the creases don't come undone, and what you end up seeing is something that looks a little bit like this in the background. Now, this requires a lot of editing. You have to remove the creases using, something like Photoshop, which, it can be quite tedious and, time consuming. So this particular setup came with 2 tripod looking things for the backdrop and 3 tripod looking things for the lights, because I did have 3 lights. So this particular one that I'm holding right here is for the lights, and it's pretty simple. You set up the light separate and then you set up the tripod thing and you just put the whole light on top of the tripod and secure it. These are the 2 tripods that will hold the actual backdrop. Now I'm extending it as high as they can go because I need them to be life size and be able to fit a full human. The tripods have a very simple screw at the top. And what you do is you build the main pole, which consists of 3 or 4 pieces. I used only 3 because that's the width of my backdrop, which I've purchased. You just have to make sure that you leave the bigger holes on either end of that main pole, because that's how the main pole will sit on top of the 2 tripods and slit through those 2 screws. Now, to get that beautiful seamless backdrop, what I did is I purchased a paper backdrop. Paper is very seamless. There's no creases, especially if it's been rolled up in a neat, tidy roll. I specifically went for a company that promised that they package it very securely and deliver it, very carefully. The only problem is that these paper backdrop rolls can be quite heavy and they do cost around £60 in addition to the actual setup. I personally think it was well worth it. But as I said, they are quite heavy And this particular tripod backdrop holder is not super sturdy, so it does wobble a little bit, and I wouldn't have children around it, and I would make sure that it is, you know, as secure as possible, and everybody knows not to kind of move it around too much because it can fall down. Like I said, it is quite heavy. And don't worry, once the paper's got creases and it's a little bit messy and it's time to kind of, you know, cut it off, I have found the perfect way to put it to use. Now, the last and final thing that I'd like to mention is that these particular lights are called softbox lights. Now, you can get them with 1 light bulb, 2 light bulbs, 3 light bulbs, and 4 light bulbs. I personally went for the 4 light bulbs because I thought, you know, the more light bulbs, the brighter the light, the, you know, maybe better the pictures, right? So I was trying to be smart, and I basically at one point removed the covers of the lights and started taking pictures without the covers on them. Now, that was a really big mistake because that completely began to ruin my pictures all over again. And the problem with that is that the pictures became really bright, and the lights were so bright that they would wash out any dark colors. So something that was black or dark brown completely looked grey. You could see absolutely no color. The colors of the products of the fabric were completely different to the original colors. Like, for example, teal would look blue. So yeah, that's just a mistake I did that I just thought I'll mention so you guys don't, you know, repeat the same thing. I don't know, I suppose, you know, they are called softbox lights, so keeping the covers on it, you know, makes the light softer, which is really important, and it comes out really nice and natural. So yeah, I suppose they're called softbox lights for a reason, right? But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was informative and helpful in some way, inshallah. And I thought I'd share my experiences and my little journey through, you know, taking pictures and creating content for my business. Don't forget to subscribe. My next video is quite exciting. It's my journey to finding an office space, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.